line, Y-intercept, right? All that stuff sounds familiar. Good. So let's talk about slope first and how to find it. I usually have two ways I like to find slope. One is if you know the points, like say you have 2 points and I ask you to find the slope between the 2 points. You had a formula last year that probably said this: y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Change in y over change in y. X is usually the phrase. Okay. Please make sure the y's are on top. That's awfully embarrassing when we flip it, right? The other one I like a lot, especially if the line is already graphed for me, and I don't need to do this, but if the line is graphed for me, I like to use this one. How many up and over I need to go, also known as rise over run. Yeah, I love that one, especially if it's graphed. I just go, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3, 4/3. I'm good. All right. Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you very much. We always do. Thank you. So I like rise over run. All right. Let's get into it. Last year, you probably had a couple different forms of a line. Anybody remember point slope? Point slope, okay. Maybe you also heard standard form too. To make it easy, because we don't have time for that. I don't have 3 days to review all that. We're going to make it simple in here. Every single answer is always going to be left in this form, slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. There's 2 things you need to be aware of. The m is called your what? Slope, and the b is your y-intercept. That's what you need. Okay? M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. And notice I'm going quick because this is probably the second, third time you've seen this stuff. All right. So I want you to find the slope, find the y-intercept, and then we're going to graph it. So I went very easy on you on the first one here. 4x plus 2. What's the slope? Slope of this line is where m is. What's in place of m? 4. So the slope of this line is 4. Something that happened last period, and let's talk about it right now. Slope is always a number, not a number and a variable. It's not 4x. It's 4. All right. Slope is 4. Y-intercept? 2. All right, let's talk about graphing it. I don't want your calculators out. We don't need them. It takes too long to get them out. Y equals 4x plus 2. Go to my table, graph. It takes too darn long, and you don't need it. First point you should be graphing is your y-intercept. 2. I got a couple 2's on this graph. What 2 are you talking about? What's this 2 called again? The y-intercept. So it belongs on the y-axis. So on the y-axis, your first point is 2, the y-intercept. Now, I have no idea where this line's going to go, right? It's going to go here, 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 here. I don't know. So I need at least one more point. That's where the slope comes in. Rise over run. So from that point I just graphed on the y-axis, where am I going to go? Up. Rise 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over. Now there's no bottom, but we know there's what there? A 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 over. Now when I say over, left, right? To the right, because it's got to be positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. If you want to just make sure you're good, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again over 1. Graphing is not my concern today, so I don't care if you do this with a straight edge or not. Graphing is not my concern. I'm not even going to have you do it on the homework. So there's my line, 4x plus 2. All right, next one. Now we get to the honors level. Slope's not -6. Why not? Wait, it's whatever's what you just told us. Whatever's with the x is the slope. No. Why is in this -6, Max?
It's not in slope.
So that's got to be in slope-intercept form. Y equals form. Okay? The slope is not -6. That's an incorrect statement. I need a y equals. So what's your first move to get it into y equals? Add 6x over. So I'm left with 3y, and I would, let's keep it in the right order. Not 12 plus 6x. Let's keep it 6x plus 12. And then how do I get rid of the 3? Divide it, divide it, divide it. Y equals Got to divide everything by 3, remember. So 2x plus 4, good. All right, now what's my slope? 2. And the y-intercept? 4. So I kind of switched them around from the last problem. And to graph it, what's the first point I graph? 4 on the y-axis, good. And then at least give me one more point. Where do I go from there? Slope is 2, so I go up 2 over. Do I still go to the right? Yeah. When would I go to the left? If it was negative. 1, 2 over 1. Yep. Up 2 over 1. Graph that line in. Straight edge not needed. And there we go. Any issues? All right. That's great. Now I want you guys to come up with the equations on your own now. I'll give you some facts. What are the equations on your own? Write the equation and okay, slope intercept form. So our final answer better look like y equals mx plus b. So hey, before we start here, because it goes from really, really easy to a little bit more difficult in number 5. If you're going to write it in y equals mx plus b, you need two values, right? One value would be m, and then we're going to need the b. So I need both before we write our final answer. You're welcome on number 2, y, or number 3, y. You don't have to do a darn thing. I gave you both. Now put them into the equation for me. What's the equation of this line? Y equals, whoop. Let's start calling on people now. I gave you everything you needed. And y equals,
3x plus 4.
done. Whew. Wipe the sweat off, everyone. That was a torturous one. All right, well, what if I don't give you everything? How do you find the values? I gave you -1. That's done. What's the value did I not give you, though?
Y-intercept.
I didn't give you b. We're on the hook for it. I got to find b. Now, I don't know what was taught last year technique-wise. This is how I roll this year. If you're asking me to find the b value, I use this equation because it's got b in it. Y equals mx plus b. What's the y-intercept again? Which variable up here? Which variable up here is my y-intercept? So that's going to stay b, but what the heck do I plug in for the other 3 variables? You know, a point on the line. This point has an x and a y coordinate. What's the y coordinate? So in for y, I'm going to plug -4. Maybe this is familiar, maybe not, but this is how I find my y-intercept. What's the slope again? -1. And what's my x coordinate of the point? Hopefully we can solve this now. Can you get b by itself? That's how I solve for b. I go back to the equation and plug in everything but b. So it looks like I got -4 equals -2 plus b. How you getting the -2 over? Add it over. So your b value should be -2. All right, well, that's not what I was looking for in the directions. I was looking for the equation of this line. So let's put the 2 together, and what do you got for me? 6, what do you got for me?
-2. Oh, y equals -x minus 2.
Yep. If you want to put the 1 there to feel warm and cozy inside, go ahead, and you don't need to, but -x minus 2. So we had a problem where I gave you both, just did a problem where I gave you one and not the other. What if I don't give you either? How can we still get this done? So I'm giving you 2 points on the line. Well, let's start with the m value, the slope. Didn't we give each other a formula at the very beginning of class, how to find slope? There we go. So now I'm going to use that formula, change in y's on top over change in x's on the bottom. This is how we find the slope if not given. All right. y2 and y1 are the y coordinates of both points. Give me the y coordinates of both points. 16. Yes. P and Q both have x and y coordinates. I want the y coordinates of each.
Yeah.
-3 minus 0 over, order is important now. You see how Max gave me -3 first? So I need its x coordinate first. All right, you can't just mix and match like the distance formula back in the day. All right, whatever the y coordinate you picked, you got to give me its x coordinate too first. 7, so what's the bottom going to look like?
7 minus 5.
Yep. So the slope of this line, -3/2. Good, got the slope. What's up next? Still got to find the y-intercept. Same way we just did in number 4. But now you got a choice. I'm still going to use y equals mx plus b. In number 4, you only had one point you could use. Now in number 5, you choose. You can use P and plug it in, or you can use Q, but you can't use, one of each here. So do we have a class decision?
Q.
D.
5-0? That's what I figured. Majority would be 5. All right, so we're going to use 5. You can use -7, -3. You're still going to get the same value. So here we go, 5-0. 7 again. What am I going to plug in for y if we're using 5-0? 0. What's the slope we just found? Yep, where you're doing all the values here. -3/2. And what's the x coordinate? 5. And then we're solving for b. I have no sympathy for you. Everyone's got fraction templates on the calculators, right? And I'm not this isn't a Butler service. I'm not doing them for you.
Over 2, yeah. And then b equals 15. We did this last year. Did we not? Yeah.
-15/2.
Exactly.
Now look, am I okay with -7.5? Yes. And this rule goes for the entire year. As long as it's a short decimal, you can write it. But if it goes on forever in your calculator, turn it back into a fraction, please. All right, so -7.5, that's pretty short. I'll accept it. But if it goes on forever, let's keep it as a fraction. No matter how you kept it, how you move it over. Add it over, yep. So whether you're adding 15/2 or 7.5, fine. And here's our b value. B equals 15/2, or if you have 7.5, that's fine. All right, let's put them together now. And what are we looking at for an equation? One equation.
Y equals -3/2 x plus 7.5.
Perfect. I'll use my 15/2. Got it. There we go. All right. Great job, everyone. Any issues? Finding slope, use the formula. Y-intercept, your b value, use the y equals mx plus b. So why am I doing all this Algebra 1 stuff? How does it tie into the name of this unit, right? What's the name of the unit? The unit, not the course, the unit. Parallel and,
Perpendicular.
right, so how does this tie into that? Here's what the next 2 questions are all about. And I know that you don't have this, I'm getting there. There we go. Parallel lines. How does this tie into slopes? Anybody remember last year? Finish this fact for me. If 2 lines are parallel, their slopes are 2 lines parallel, never intersect. Slopes are same, congruent, equal. Yep, however you want to put it. Same slopes. That's how we're tying this into this unit. If 2 lines are parallel, the slopes are equal. So let's look at 8. I need you to write an equation, so it's got to be y equals mx plus b at the end. Parallel It's got to be parallel to this line and goes through negative 2, 5. All right, let's review again. What are the two things I need to write the equation of a line? Slope and y-intercept. Let's start with the slope. Can you find the slope of the line I gave you right now? Oh, God.
No.
What is it, negative 1? Is the slope of that line I gave you negative 1?
No.
No! Why not? It's got to be in what form? Slope-intercept. Let's get off that habit. Drives me nuts. It's got to be y equals before you tell me the slope. All right, get it into y equals. What do you got? What do I need to do on both sides to get it into y equals? Divide by everything by 2. Not what you want to divide by 2. Everything gets divided by 2. So the equation of this line is going to be y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, now tell me, what's the slope of this line? 24, what's the slope of this line? Negative 1/2. So the slope of my new line will be 8. Slope of my new line, who's got 8? Negative 1/2. Why? Parallel means equal slopes. So what's the only thing I'm missing now? I now know the slope's negative 1/2. Now I just got to find the. We've done that already. Turn the page back if you forget. We've done this already. Y equals mx plus b. I have given you a point it goes through, and we already know the slope. Let's fill her in. 9. Y coordinate you want me to plug in? 5. Slope is already, because they're parallel. X value. Let's go. Multiply negative 1/2 and negative 2. Move it to the other side. When you're ready, let me know what your b value is here. 16 when you're ready. B value. 4 is correct. Yes. Yes. There we go. Now let's put the two together. And what's the equation of this line? 23 equation.
Y equals negative 1/2 plus 4.
That's a different line than what I'm looking for.
Oh.
We're missing a key term here.
Wait, what?
Y
Oh,
equals,
X, sorry.
yeah, gotta have that in there.
Oh my God.
Gotta. It's a totally different line. 1/2 x plus 4. Negative 1/2 x plus 4. Okay. Parallel lines have the same slope. Now we're going to, and I know I have a different problem up on the board, so let me change it so people don't have a heart attack here. Here we go. Okay. Perpendicular now. Ooh, they're not the same slopes. Nobody in period 7 could remember this either. If two lines are... Hey, quick review. Perpendicular symbol.
Upside down, Steve.
I don't want to write out perpendicular anymore. I'll use the darn symbol. If two lines are perpendicular, slopes are not equal. I know that. Thank you very much. You think you got it, Andra? Multiply to negative. That is 100% correct. If they multiply to negative 1, I have a different term I'm going to use. What's your deal,
Are
like?
they reciprocals of each other?
That's half of it.
Oh.
You put the two together. Go ahead.
Opposite.
Opposite reciprocals. I say negative reciprocals. That's the term I use. Are negative reciprocals. Which, yes, if you look at the two, going back to Andre's point, if you look at the two, they should multiply to negative 1. All right, what do I mean by negative reciprocal? Let me talk about that because that's a fresh term for most of you. What's reciprocal mean? Not opposite. It's got to be flipped. So whatever the slope is, it has to be flipped, and the sign needs to be changed. All good? It needs to be flipped and the sign needs to be changed. Well, forget about that. How am I going to find the slope of this line? So I can flip it and change the sign because this is hot garbage right now. How am I going to get the slope out of this? It's got to be in what form? Y equals slope intercept. It's not even close. What do you think your first move is? Because I heard like 50 different moves in period 7. Factor was not one of them, and I don't know where that comes from. There's no squared term up here, so the factoring doesn't need it. I'm just trying to get Y by itself.
Distribute.
Yeah, distribute. Yes. Don't subtract 3. Don't divide by 4. Don't factor. Don't use the quadratic formula. Anybody else want to throw out some cool math terms out there just to, show off, But yes, distribute the 4, please. Distribute the 4. Now what?
Subtract 3.
Subtract 3. So this line is actually another name for this line, 4x minus 11. All right, let's talk now. What is the slope of this line? 21. This line has a slope of 4. But not my new line. Right? They're not parallel, they're perpendicular. So what do I need to do with 4 to find the slope that's perpendicular to it? Everyone ready? Flip it in your head. Flip it and change the sign. Don't yell at flip it and change the sign right now. 21, what's the slope of my new line?
-1/4.
Negative, and then I flip it 1/4. There's the slope I'm going to use. Still need the what though? You got the slope, still need the y-intercept. And I'm going to find the y-intercept same way I've been finding the y-intercept all today. Plug the values into the equation and let B be B. All right, what are you plugging in for y? 11, what are we plugging in for y?
6.
6, good. How about the m?
4.
Ooh,
Oh, -1.
My new, right? This is my new line, so I want to use the new slope. Negative 1/4. If you use 4, you're telling me they're parallel. And then what about the x value?
8.
8. All right, go to town. B value when you get it. 21 B value when you get it. What are you getting with 8 times -1/4?
Oh, I did type on
No autocorrect on the calculators, huh? Like your phones.
Yep.
I keep pressing it on.
Yeah.
Okay, so for that I got 2.
-2.
Or yeah, negative.
How do you move the -2 over?
So 3.
How do you move the -2 over?
Oh,
Add it over.
and then 8.
All right, there we go. 8. We got it. Okay, put the 2 together for me, everyone. Put the 2 together. What's the slope of my perpendicular? What's the equation of my perpendicular line? Oh boy, 21. Time for redemption. Redemption.
So slope -1/4. And then 8 plus 8.
Maddie, do you want to tell him something?
Oh, 8x. -1/4x plus 8.
Totally rattled. Totally rattled. Okay, there you go. Any issues? Parallel, you keep the slope. Perpendicular, you flip it and change the sign. All good? Because the last thing we have to talk about is special lines. All right, some special lines. Special lines, there we go. All right, so go ahead. I give you a little slice of graph. Down below, go ahead and graph 5, -1 for me. And this should be good. Draw a horizontal line through it. Oh boy. This should be good.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All
Just-
the way through it, like just the other side of the graph.
Right through. Right through. I want a horizontal line. Horizontal, everybody. Horizontal. There we go. Horizontal. Let's end the debate now, please. All right, here we go. I'm going. I call these special ones because they don't really follow the y equals mx plus b rule. We can't, we're not going to find slope and y-intercept here. So instead, I still want the equation of this line, though. So here's what I want you to do. We have what? 5, -1 as a point on there. What I want you guys to do is graph another point on that line for me. I don't care. Anywhere on that line, graph another point. And name that point. And what I mean by name it is give me the coordinates of it. Give me the coordinates. Like for me, I put my point here, so that's -2, -1. And let's do it for a third time here. Give me a third point on somewhere on your line. And again, find the coordinate of that one. And I'd like you to look at all 3 coordinates right now. -5, -1, and the 2 you chose. And look for something in common, please, out of all 3 of those points. There should be something just staring you right in the face that's common with all 3 points. And what is common with those 3 points? 26.
They all have a y of -1.
Say that one more time.
They all have a y of -1.
That's your equation. Y equals -1. And that will be true for every horizontal line you write. Horizontal line, here you go, the rule will always be y equals a number. And that's it. Now, what's that number going to be? Depends where it goes through the y-axis. Okay, it's always y equals a number. And that number will be where it goes through. Last thing here. How about the slope? Horizontal line. Anybody know slope, Andre? 0. Not like it doesn't exist, 0, but the number 0. There is no slope. Okay, there is no slope. And since you were in honors, this makes sense. Remember, what did we use all today? Y equals? Watch where this comes from. No slope, 0, right? Where does it go through on the y-axis? So why don't I write that instead? Well, what's 0 times anything? There you go. That's where it comes from. Okay. And finally, how about oh boy, well, everyone's going to know now that we did the horizontal. Vertical line going through 4, 3. So over 4, up 3, vertical line, draw a vertical line through 4, 3. And let's do the same thing to find out the equation of any vertical line. So we have what? 4, 3. Go ahead, put another point on there and get its coordinates off. Put another point on your vertical line and get the coordinates off. Line's going to be 4, -3. And then do a third point, just so we can establish a pattern. What do you notice? I don't know why I'm doing that. That's not true. It's 4, -3. It's embarrassing. Let's get rid of that. It's probably second embarrassing to the factoring comment today. 4, 3. 4, 7. And then I got 4, -3. All right, what do you find in common for your 3 points? What's in common? 6, what's in common?
4 in the x value.
What is it?
4.
So in this case, all the x's are equal to 4. So if it's horizontal, it's y equals a number. If it's vertical, we're going to be x equals a number. X equals a number. This is the only time it doesn't start with y equals. Is a vertical line is x equals a number. And last question, what's the slope of a vertical line? Unidentified. Is that like a UFO? No, it's good. Yeah, it's good. Unidentified. You see a lot of stuff for it. I was just busting your guts here. All right. Slope is unidentified. I'll take that. Undefined, maybe too. That's fine. Yep. You could also say no slope. Okay. Notice the difference. No slope is different than the number 0. All right. Questions? Okay, you have plenty of time right now to grab a textbook, share amongst yourselves, and start the compass tomorrow. Compass in class tomorrow.